In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 NBA games happening on January 10th, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Dallas Mavericks versus Chicago Bulls. The Mavericks are still dealing with a long list of absences, with P.J. Washington, Brandon Williams, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively II, and Kyrie Irving all out for this one, while the Bulls have ruled out Josh Giddey and have Jalen Smith and Kevin Huerter both listed as questionable. It is honestly tough to feel confident about any side when both teams are missing so many pieces, but the Bulls are at home, they are well rested, and that is a big part of why they are showing up as slight favorites here. The Bulls are having one of those weeks where everything feels a bit off, and this group in general is frustrating because the good stretches and the ugly stretches tend to arrive in waves. You are always left asking, which version of this team is going to show up tonight? Even with that inconsistency, the Mavericks' injury situation is hard to ignore. They are seriously banged up right now, and they are just 3-7 straight up and 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 games, which is not the profile of a team you rush to back on the road. On top of that, the Mavericks are 4-13 straight up away from home, which really underlines how shaky they have been once you pull them out of their own building. This spot lines up as one where the Bulls should be able to reset a bit and get back on track, finally beating the Mavericks for the first time since April 2023. The idea is not that Chicago suddenly becomes some model of consistency. It is more that the opponent is so depleted that the Bulls' flaws are less likely to be punished. The door is still open for the Mavericks to pull off a win if Cooper Flagg has a big game and really tilts the matchup, but even then, the Bulls have the edge in depth here. I expect them to lean on big performances from Dosunmu and Vucevic to steady things when the offense wobbles. With the sheer number of injuries the Mavericks are dealing with, it is tough to trust them to go on the road and grind out a win against a team that at least has more healthy bodies and a home crowd behind it. As our first pick for this matchup, the Chicago Bulls to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Dallas Mavericks are averaging 113.1 points on 46.9% shooting from the field and allowing 117 points on 45.9% shooting. They are knocking down 33.4% of their three-point attempts and shooting 75.9% from the free throw line. On defense, the Mavericks are allowing 33.2% shooting from beyond the arc and pulling in 44.7 rebounds per game. The Chicago Bulls are averaging 117.1 points on 47.2% shooting and allowing 121.2 points on 47.4% shooting. They are hitting 36% from deep and 78.2% at the free throw line. Defensively, the Bulls are allowing 36.7% shooting from three-point range and grabbing 45.6 rebounds per game. When you put those numbers side by side, you get a picture of two teams that can both score at a decent clip and also give plenty back on the defensive end. The Mavericks allow more points than they score on average, which often leads to faster games and more possessions, and the Bulls' defense is leaky enough that even a short-handed opponent can find a rhythm. At the same time, Chicago's own offense has enough firepower, at least on paper, to take advantage of a Dallas defense that has not exactly been locking teams up. So even with the injuries on both sides, the combined tendencies point toward a matchup where points come in waves, with both teams doing their part to push the final total higher rather than dragging it into a grind. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. San Antonio Spurs versus Boston Celtics. The Spurs are still without Devin Vassell, and they are monitoring Julian Champagnie, who is questionable with back soreness, while the Celtics are again missing Jason Tatum. San Antonio did look pretty sharp in that recent win over a short-handed Lakers team on Wednesday, but if we are honest, they have not been playing their best overall and could be without Champagnie, who stretches the floor nicely from beyond the arc. On the other side, Boston has been one of the hottest teams in the league lately, stacking wins and looking very steady, and the number on this game would almost certainly be higher if the Celtics were not on the second night of a back-to-back set. Here is where things get a little strange. From a numbers point of view, the line feels confusing because the Spurs are being treated as underdogs even though they are being framed as one of the best teams in the league with a clear rest advantage. You look at that and think, something is off. As well as Boston has played over the last month or so, they did play last night, and tired legs can show up in little ways, especially late in games. Sure, San Antonio has not beaten the Celtics since January 2022, so history obviously leans Boston, but sometimes you just have to live with that discomfort if you like the spot. Whenever this version of the Spurs is catching points with extra rest, it becomes tempting to grab those points and trust that the situation eventually shows up on the scoreboard. So even if the line feels odd and a bit hard to wrap your head around at first glance, I still lean toward taking the spread with San Antonio and letting the rest advantage do some of the heavy lifting. As our first pick for this matchup, the San Antonio Spurs to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The San Antonio Spurs are averaging 120 points per game on 48.3% shooting from the field while allowing 114.2 points on 46.5% shooting. From beyond the arc, San Antonio is hitting 35.8% of its threes and converting 79.4% at the free throw line. Defensively, the Spurs are allowing opponents to shoot 36.2% from deep and are pulling down 46.2 rebounds per contest. The Boston Celtics are putting up 121.4 points on 47.6% shooting and giving up 114.1 points on 45.1% shooting. They are knocking down 36.7% of their three-point attempts and shooting 79.1% at the line. On defense, the Celtics are allowing 37% from beyond the arc and grabbing 45.1 boards per game. If you only glance at those numbers, you might expect a pretty lively scoreboard, since both teams can score and neither side is shutting everything down on the perimeter. But here is the thing, there are a few built-in breaks on that idea. The Spurs are missing Vassell and might be without Champagnie, two pieces that matter for spacing and shot making, and the Celtics are without Tatum, who is a huge chunk of their offense. On top of that, Boston is playing the second game of a back-to-back, and tired legs often show up more in shot quality and late-game execution than in effort alone, which can quietly drag efficiency down. So while the averages point to capable offenses, the combination of key absences, potential fatigue, and slightly slower stretches as both teams feel each other out creates a very reasonable path for this game to land below the projected number rather than turning into a non-stop shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Charlotte Hornets versus Utah Jazz. The Hornets are still missing Mason Plumlee, but they do expect to have Grant Williams back, while the Jazz have ruled out Ace Bailey, George Niang, and Lauri Markkanen for this one. The Hornets have actually found a bit of form lately, stacking a few respectable wins, with that big upset of the Thunder standing out as the eye-catcher, so it is not shocking to see them open as favorites here. It is weird seeing the Hornets in the road favorite role, and this will actually be just the sixth time since December 2024 that they have been in that spot. That alone makes you do a double take. However, the Jazz are dealing with what feels like half of their rotation being unavailable for this game, while the Hornets are about as healthy as they have been all season. Only Plumlee is out for Charlotte, which is a huge contrast. Quietly, the Hornets have been more competitive than their reputation suggests, and that sneaky fight has shown up at the window with covers in 8 of their last 10 games. When a team is almost at full strength and rewarding spread backers like that, you start to pay closer attention, even if the name on the jersey is not one people rush to trust. Of course, the Jazz are still very capable of pulling an upset at home, especially in a building where the crowd can crank up the energy and give them a little extra push. That home boost is real, and it is usually why people hesitate to lay points with a visiting team. But with Markkanen being intentionally rested here, a big piece of Utah's offensive punch is missing, and that decision opens the door even wider for the Hornets. Given the obvious health gap between these two teams right now, and the way Charlotte has been competing lately, I am comfortable laying the number with the Hornets on the road. As our first pick for this matchup, the Charlotte Hornets to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Charlotte Hornets are averaging 115.5 points on 45.6% shooting and allowing 117.3 points on 48.3% shooting. They are knocking down 37.1% of their three-point attempts and hitting 81.4% from the free throw line. On the other end, the Hornets are allowing 37.8% shooting from deep and grabbing 44.9 rebounds per game. The Utah Jazz are averaging 119.8 points on 46.2% shooting and allowing 127.1 points on 49% shooting. They are shooting 35.4% from beyond the arc and 80.5% from the charity stripe. Defensively, the Jazz are allowing 37.1% shooting from deep and pulling down 45 rebounds per game. Put side by side, those stats tell a very simple story. Both offenses are capable of putting up points, and both defenses are giving plenty back, especially with the Jazz allowing well over 120 points per night on very high opponent shooting percentages. Charlotte's defense is not exactly putting out fires either, which means there is real potential for long stretches where both teams trade makes instead of stops. You also have strong three-point percentages and solid free throw numbers on both sides, which usually helps totals, since made threes and frequent trips to the line are friendly to overs. With defenses that leak efficiency and offenses that can punish that, the overall expectation leans toward a game where the scoring tempo stays lively enough for the final tally to push above the projected total. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.